Laurie Fazzino?
Yes.
Fazzino.
Every year, Evan.
Is currently a doctoral student at the Department of Sociology at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. She received a BA in sociology with a minor in philosophy from Pacific Lutheran University and her master's in sociology at UNLV. Her research interest spans across several subfields of sociology, including culture, religion, social movements, and deviance. Laurie has a few research projects in the works. Her dissertation research examines the construction of moral order in Sin City using the Las Vegas Atheist meetup group as her case study. Laurie is also currently working on projects that look at organization fragmentation of the atheist movement in the 20th century, as well as the relationship between gender, feminism, and atheism. She's been a regular to SSA conferences, and I want to welcome my friend Laurie.
Thank you. Okay, so I warn you, this is the first time I am giving this talk. So you are my guinea pigs. I welcome all feedback afterwards. And I apologize for the title that was in the program. They asked me for my title like 8 months ago, so that's what I had as my paper title. So anyway, we've changed it, shortened it. Patriarchal waters run deep, even in the secular community. Yeah, but can we dim the lights at all?
Yeah, that's probably good. Sorry.
Okay. I'm working with a colleague on secular death management. And we have an idea that's, you all have talked about online, and it's the idea of immortal life. And I argue that atheists do have an immortal life. It's in the legacy that we leave. I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about this question. What is your ripple effect? I believe in transparency, so just to let you know, I'm gonna be dropping the F-bomb. I mean, I just am dropping it. That's not the F-bomb that I'm talking about. I'm talking about this F-bomb. The F-bomb of feminist. Here's my confession. Yes, I'm a feminist. No, I don't hate men. I couldn't always say this. While I don't think I ever hated men, I certainly wasn't a fan. I wasn't a feminist in 1988 when I told my mom that my stepfather had been molesting me since I was 5. I wasn't a feminist in 1993 when a friend and schoolmate of mine was arrested for stalking me. I didn't become a feminist in the year 2000, which was when the first time a boyfriend laid hands on me in a physical way. Not in a good physical way. And there was no safe word. I still wasn't a feminist in 2005 when my husband raped me for the first time. And I certainly wasn't a feminist in 2007 when I was raped again. Why? Mostly because maybe like you, I didn't know what the hell feminism was. What was it? I know that I believe the stereotypes. I wasn't one of those girls that ever went to take back the night because I didn't want to have a victim mentality. Because we seem to crucify, for lack of a better word, females who are victims. So I didn't give critical thought to the things that I was seeing. And the implication that a feminist was just something to get rid of. I thought about feminism, finally, in September of 2013, when I took a sociology of gender seminar at UNLV. And I had to do some research. And I'm pragmatic. All of my research kind of feeds into my dissertation. And so I wanted to do something that I could use. And my professor pointed out, your atheist community, there's a lot of white men in it. And I was like, really? Never dawned on me that the 4 horsemen of atheism were 4 white men. That could be because of my race privilege. They look like me in terms of my skin color. So it never dawned on me. So I started to investigate, and I started to read, and I come a little late to the party. I kind of stumbled upon the story of Elevator Gate, which I know many of you are probably familiar with, and it started a big firestorm between Rebecca Watson and Richard Dawkins. And I wanted to see, does sexism exist in my local group? These are my friends, right? They're totally cool, and we're like all about the morality. So let's see what happens. So I had a little focus group, and I was never supposed to moderate, but I did. Bad idea. I'm pretty dominant type A personality. So to say that I had to masculinize my performance for this, yes, that really just meant me banging on a table saying, "Not on my watch," when somebody wanted to pick on a male who was less than hegemonic. I thought about becoming a feminist when a friend, somebody I consider like my brother, tried to justify the use of sexist humor. I'm like, that's so problematic. No, what are you doing? There are several studies that find a positive correlation between sexist humor and rape proclivity, okay? Which is only increased when there's no aversion to sexist humor, or aversion is low. And that exposure to sexist humor promotes the behavioral release of prejudicial attitudes towards women. That's why sexist humor is sort of a problem. But it should be okay, right? That's what he would say. Just out of curiosity, when people poke fun at us, I don't typically find that funny. I don't know. Does anybody? I thought about becoming a feminist when another member, somebody who people don't generally like, but I am kind to, even though he smells like pepperoni, said to me, for better or for worse, God did not create men and women equal. Women should learn self-defense. And I thought, what group is this? God? What? Are you kidding? And it was just an example of victim blaming. This victim blaming that is the result of and perpetuates rape culture. Interestingly, I saw at a news article recently that that men were coming out talking about the times that they're raped, and there was a lot of sympathy on Reddit, which there should be. There should be the same sympathy for women. And I'm not usually a snarky person, but just immediately I wanted to say, what was he wearing? Why was he drinking with those women? Like, what's going on? But two wrongs do not make a right. When I talk about rape culture, I'm talking about the culture in which sexual violence is normalized. I'm going to show you a picture, and somebody just yell out what it looks like.
Gang rape.
Thank you. Yes, that's what my students say too. Gang rape. I would love to actually buy that outfit. One, if it came in my size, and two, if I could see it. Just saying. And if you're saying, no, Laura, that's just an ad, it sells. You're right. You're right. So how about these tweets, which were made to Jessica Alquist when she was 16 and challenging the removal of her school's prayer banner. Cute little 16-year-old. What did she do? Like, really? Saying bitch's going to hell and Satan's going to rape her. Wow. That seems to be the first thing that people grab onto with women. Unfortunately, we do live in a society where rape is common. And I may come back to this. That same person said to me that the two women he knew in college who were both raped, they weren't traumatized by it, and they didn't develop attitudes against men. Like I said, I didn't hate men, I just, really wasn't a fan. This told me that he didn't really understand the nature of trauma and how it affects mental health. Both stalking, sexual assault, intimate partner violence, what I'll refer to as gendered violence. It affects your physical health, and you could die. Okay. A friend of his said sexual harassment, if she complains, if she says, I don't like you to do that, then it's sexual harassment. To me, you get one free shot. Sexual harassment is crap.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, right? Who would say that? He was an older gentleman, and in his defense, sexual harassment policies were not formalized until the mid-90s. So, yeah. Let's just pick one occupation, like, let's say the military. 2012, victims by gender. It was more dangerous for a woman to serve in the military. She had more of a chance of being raped by a fellow soldier than being harmed in battle fire or whatever in Afghanistan or Iraq. Better for women to go to war. This was one that really affected me. Of course, I'm moderating this, right? So get this in your head. There's 12 men and there's 5 women, myself included, and I'm moderating this and I'm smiling and I'm nodding, right? Because I want it to be a safe space and I want people to just express what they think freely. And this gentleman says, looking right at me with those laser eyes, "Oh, you women, you're weak and everything, it's baloney. All you gotta do is charge somebody, accuse somebody of sexual assault, you're guilty, your career's over." This man had said he'd been accused falsely accused of sexual assault. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. I couldn't believe that attitudes perpetuating rape myth acceptance were present in my group. I'm like, who are you people? Rape myth acceptance is correlated positively to other oppressive belief systems like racism, classism, ageism, and religious intolerance. And I'm like, oh, it makes sense now. I mean, atheists can be intolerant of religion, right? This was an interesting one. Perceived rape myth acceptance by other men increases rape proclivity. So guys, please do us a favor. Don't express it. Now here's something that is incredible. The percentage of rapes that college students think are false, 50%, half. Half of every reported, rape, it's false report. Anybody know what the actual number is?
Less than 10%.
It's like 3%.
2%. Now, in fairness, though, it's really, really hard to figure out if these reports are false. So it's not an easy thing to study empirically, but this is our best number. 50%, 2%. Who makes that shit up? Here's some other fun facts for you. Okay. Intimate partner violence, women, 1 in 4. Raped, 1 in 5. Stalked, 1 in 6 during the lifetime. Men, I couldn't fit all of the little men I would need to. So 1 in 7 men will experience intimate partner violence. 1 in 71 will experience a completed rape in his lifetime. And 1 in 19 is stalked. That's a problem. It's a problem not only for women, it's a problem for men. But as you can see, women are disproportionately likely to experience this in their lifetimes. So why should you even care about this, right? Was this feminism or is this like the Secular Student Alliance conference? What's going on? You should care about this because 44% of sexual assault for women takes place before they're 18 years old. 80% before they're 30. So I teach at UNLV, and I'm very transparent, like I was with you a few minutes ago. I'm like that with my students, and I've shared my story. So if my story can empower somebody, that's what I'm all about. And I can't tell you how many times I've had students, well, I can't actually, like 4 this last year. Students come and talk to me about having to flee their husbands, being molested when they were a child, being raped. And I have a responsibility to do something. And fortunately, I know the resources on my campus. This is very common. This is more common than you think. Okay. Domestic violence or intimate partner violence. Women aged 20 to 24. And yes, I can tell you that my students were 22 and 23. So there's a problem. Agreed? Okay. I did this research, and I was transcribing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys suck. I don't like my participants. You guys are my friends. And we were getting ready to have a Friendsgiving at our house. I'm like, oh, I don't want you in my home. You're going to dirty my white couch. What's happening? I don't know. And so I talked to my professor, and she's like, let's talk about it in the classroom, right? Methodological challenges. Okay, got it. And we had some people from outside the department. And so I'm saying, like, look, this is what's happening. Like, this is the story I presented. This is the response. I don't know what to do. And everything, like all of those attitudes that were expressed in my atheist group, my off-campus group, were expressed in my classroom, in my sociology of gender classroom. Like, what? Now, this was a problem for me because I am a strong atheist humanist and I am a strong academic. Sociology, I have a tattoo on my back, it's a sociology girl. This is who I am. And all of a sudden, my identities were disrupted. I didn't know who I was as an atheist. I didn't know who I was as a sociologist. I didn't know who I was as a woman. The following week, we had to present our projects. And, I presented, and one of the students said, "I think your research is invalid." Okay, well, it wasn't on bonobos, so I guess, well, let's hear it. And I said, no. I engage in triangulation. That's how you do validity with qualitative research. No. I think you set your participants up for failure. Absolutely not. What? Yeah, you gave them a story about people they know. It would have been better if you would have given them hypotheticals. And I was just thinking, okay, work with me here. Atheists are a group of people that really, really define their morality contra religion, right? And religious oppression, and that includes gender oppression, as I'll show. So it's interesting when a group that does that, is against religious gender oppression, then they themselves go and gender oppress. We all have relative amounts of privilege and oppression. So this isn't an angry, male bashing thing. This is, we need to recognize our privilege. Check your privilege. I've got race privilege, but I don't have gender privilege. I have sexual identity privilege, but I don't have religious privilege. And it was in that moment that I decided to become a feminist. So let me tell you what it's not. This is what feminism is not. It's just not. And can you trust anything that guy says? Okay? But what feminism is, besides very varied, complex, and grossly misportrayed, is a global idea that men and women deserve equality, equal rights. Not necessarily women up here, men down there, but equal. There's different strands of feminism. I'm just going to talk about two: radical feminism and liberal feminism. Has anybody heard anything about radical feminism? When I say radical feminism, just shout it out.
Tumblr.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not helpful.
Hatred of trans women.
Yes.
Trans-exclusionary radical feminism.
Yes, right? Male bashing, kill all the men. Actually, that's not radical feminism. Whoops. Radical feminism argues for the dismantling of gender identities. You're talking about cultural feminism, in which feminine characteristics like nurturing and being soft, that's just better for society. So the way that the radical feminists are being portrayed, that's not even correct. There's liberal feminism, which I think is the 21st century feminism, that just believes that we should just be equal, right? And we have the freedom to do that. There is cultural feminism, difference feminism, postmodern feminisms, lots of feminisms. Just like there's lots of different types of non-belief, right? Oh, wait, something similar. So we see this, right? No, men have rights too. That's a myth. Men do have rights, full humanity. But we're not there yet, right? So we know that there's still pay disparity. We know that women's careers suffer because of motherhood. And we know women do more unpaid work. Another idea. You can't be a feminist if you're a guy. Myth! Because men are oppressed. Act like a man. Men have to live up to these ideal standards, strong and aggressive. Is it any wonder why women are being attacked? Okay. And girls are taught to be what? Just say no, right? Play hard to get. This is an excerpt from the Santa Barbara shooter, where he was just like, I'm going to make you women pay. And did. Because he couldn't lose his virginity. And the guy was cute, too. He was cute. What was the problem?
Everyone sense of entitlement.
Cute but creepy. But men have to live up to these standards. Women are taught oh, my Prince Charming is going to come. Guess what? No, he's not, because it doesn't exist. And men, you don't need to live up to that. Just be respectful. You too, ladies. Equality. Ending the oppression of all by gender. So what kind of feminist am I? Not that kind. Okay? Don't confuse it. I'm more a fan of men now than I was in the past. Okay? Now I'm going to argue feminism and secularism, not so different. Not so different. This is why I think it's important to give this talk, especially to you guys, because students, you guys are going to carry the torch. Right? You may be like, well, you know. Feminism is hated because women are hated. But guess who else is hated? You! Solidarity! The new atheist, right? Firebrand, tired of being quiet. No, I'm not going to be quiet. Women don't want to be quiet either. Cyberfeminism? Yeah, I should be able to say what I'm going to say. And what do women have to say? They want to raise awareness and attention to these gross cultural attitudes. They're talking about patriarchy and sexism, and tell me why in 2014 I still have to defend my right to have an abortion. You know, and hey, atheists have a lot to say about gender. The outdated ideas about marriage, those weird, creepy purity balls, honor killings, and the way that women are treated in the Middle East, church scandals. I had one of my participants said to me, well, Richard Dawkins is just doing a good thing by pointing out, you know, what's going on in the Middle East, because all the people in the movement that care about gender have nothing to say about that. And I'm like, well, one, you're wrong, okay? And now I just want to put it back on him and say, well, you know, atheists have a lot to say. Male atheists have a lot to say about the church scandals and priests molesting little boys. They sure are quiet about girls being molested. I'm going to argue that these two are more similar than they probably like to think. Both labeled angry, militant. Both atheists and feminists are devalued, oppressed, labeled as aggressive. New atheists are pointing out the abuses of religious privilege. Atheist feminists and feminists are pointing out the abuses of male privilege. And for that, they are radical. You understand that when you label something radical, it's a way to discredit, right? So why should atheists care about feminism? Well, compared to men, we know that women have higher rates of religious belief, higher frequencies of prayer, and more likely to affiliate with religion. In fact, I just read kind of a creepy article about how women use prayer as a way to manage domestic violence. God becomes their imaginary friend and he gets them through. We know that there's gendered growth in unaffiliation. Okay, 2007, men were at 18%, women 13%. 2012, men at 23%, women are 18%. So we know women are leaving, but they're not entering our community at the same rates. Why? Could it be that our public infighting about gender is scaring women away? And minorities as well. Look around the room. I'm blind. Y'all need a tan. Ha ha ha, this is so funny, right? We should be skeptical of feminism. Like, maybe women aren't people after all. You know, maybe this would be more funny if I didn't come across this on somebody's blog that says we're nothing more than a vagina. This was actually something that was targeting Rebecca Watson. Okay? Remember that you will on your best day not make it anywhere near a man on his worst day. Now, how many of you think that this comes from a Christian? One? A few? Oh, sorry, you guys. Yeah. I'm going to move. Okay? Okay. Let me know when you're done. I got a finite amount of time up here. I mean, this is a horrible, gross thing to say to somebody. You know, when you devalue somebody and you make them non-human, you dehumanize them, makes them much more easier to beat and to rape and to stuff in your trunk and discard, right? Because that's where the feminists go. At least that's according to that bumper sticker. Perhaps women aren't joining because being a woman in society is devalued. Being an atheist in society is devalued. But being a woman in the movement, for some, can be scary. And maybe I just stopped going to church. And I don't try and find a new community. I don't know if Rebecca regrets saying what she said, which, by the way, was only 75 seconds with no emotions and no hysterics. And I thought it was good advice. I can't tell you how many guys in my group, my off-campus group, are complaining about like the lack of women. Okay, so don't hit on the women like 5 seconds after they walk in the room. A lot of our men protect people from that participant that told me that God didn't create men and women equal, because he's just sort of weird. And I kind of take it upon myself to protect new women that come in, because I'm masculinized and I'm dominant, and I've earned respect in my group. But I had to earn my respect. It wasn't just given to me. How many people think that this was a Christian that was attending TAM? We're better than this, you guys. And you guys are, I'm sure you guys are fine. I've never had a problem at an SSA conference, but I've never had a problem at a conference because I always bring my partner. That would be an empirical question, right? Maybe I should leave him home. Regardless, our movement is better than this. I wonder if the ripple effect from Dawkins saying the things that he said, you know, as thoughtless or as funny as whatever, you know, the intention was, I wonder if this is an example of the ripple effect. Or if these are examples of the ripple effect. And what's up with like atheists and grammar? I don't get it. If you read nothing, I want to draw your attention to this right here. Now, I don't have hard and fast data on this, but I'm just going to say, like, I tried to search. I searched high and low, and I'm going to say that the amount of sexual violence threats that Dawkins received was exactly none. I could be wrong. I don't have hard and fast data, but I'm just going to go with that. Maybe one. I don't know. And Greta, who's here in this room. And in a conversation, Greta said that she believes that this is from people in the movement, not Christians. And I do know some male feminists in the movement, and they do take flack, but it's not sexual violence. And that's something we need to recognize. So what's the first step to becoming a feminist? 8 simple rules. I would like to say that I think this is just the first thing you have to just agree to do. What is your ripple effect? This is our one and only life. I've talked about what happens on college campuses, where your groups are located. Be mindful that you may have some members that have gone through those experiences. Atheists, what we do really well is we're logical and we're rational and we beat down religion really well. We're not so great with the emotional and meeting emotional needs. And that's something that we can get better at. As long as women are not free, the people are not free. As long as atheists are not free and are still discriminated against and hated and distrusted and radical, then we're not equal. So do me a favor, please keep calm and be a feminist. Thank you. Do we have time for questions? We have time for one question. I see your hand first.
So what can we, both as the white men that predominate these meetings and also as institutions and organizations, do to create a more intersectional demographic in our clubs?
Excellent question. First, acknowledge the privilege where you have it. And this doesn't mean feel guilty about it, right? Oh my gosh, I'm a white man, I'm a piece of crap. No. But know that, hey, you're a white male. What you say carries a lot of weight. I always talk about Louis C.K. This is someone who does his privilege well, right? Who raises awareness. Okay, when you're with your bros, and I don't mean to just target the guys, but guys, when you're with your bros and you hear sexist humor, you hear like rape myth acceptance, you hear something inappropriate, stand up and say something. Stand up and say something, and then make intentional efforts on your campus to target underrepresented populations. Make your group desirable to women and persons of color. Thank you.